Okay, as Haran asked to follow as one of the most influential members of Congress might be, we have just a demand for the job here with us tonight. After mounting a campaign of the 2016 Republican nomination for president that attracted widespread support and included an address at the NALEO 32nd Annual Conference, Secretary Ben Carson continued to play a notable role in advising and speaking on behalf of the party and candidates throughout the election season. His name and his stellar reputation as an accomplished neurosurgeon, author, and philanthropist never left the American consciousness and helped propel him to a nomination to President Trump cabinet. Last week, he was confirmed by the Senate to serve as our nation's 17th Secretary of Housing and Urban Development. So please welcome the Honorable Dr. Ben Carson.
Well, thank you very much, and a great thanks to all of you who have decided to serve your fellow man. You know, it is really quite a sacrifice, and I think a lot of people don't recognize that who have not actually served. And this is the first time that I've been with this group since Las Vegas. I remember how warmly I was received, and I thank you for that kindness. I also want to congratulate the Ballard brothers. I had an opportunity to get to know Congressman Mario Ballard during the campaign, and just incredible service for one family, and the awards are very much deserved. You know, I can remember as a young child being born in Detroit, and we lived on Deacon Street in one of those GI homes. It was about 725 square feet, but for us, it was heaven. And when my parents got divorced, we were no longer able to live there. My mother had not much in the way of skills, and we really didn't have a place to live. And we ended up moving to Boston to live with her sister and brother-in-law in a very typical tenement, all the things that you would associate with a tenement. One of the things I remember most vividly is when you'd walk into a dark room and you would turn the light on. It would look like the wall was moving because there were so many roaches scurrying around. And some of the rats that were so big, the first time I saw one, I thought it was a dog. But, you know, these things were just all over the place, and my mother was working extraordinarily hard. But we moved from one place to another with a dream of always getting back home, which I considered, you know, Deacon Street to be. And it was a number of years before we were able to get back there, but we were able to get back there, and that was always in the back of my mind. And it is so important for people to recognize the importance of housing security and having a place where you can feel safe. And unfortunately, a large number of people in our society today do not have that. And we're having a severe problem in terms of affordable housing. And it's getting worse as time goes on. It's going to require, I think, some very significant out-of-the-box thinking. A lot of people have said, well, you know, after your long career in medicine, why would you go to a place like HUD? And I ask myself that too sometimes, but no, actually, you know, in medicine, it was wonderful to be able to go into the operating room and work very hard and save a life. But it was only one life at a time, or maybe two in the case of conjoined twins, but not very many. But here you have an opportunity to truly affect, in a very positive way, millions of lives. And HUD is situated in the right position to perhaps bring some healing to this country. You know, we've seen so much rancor and so much hatred, and I don't think that that was what we had in mind when this country was started. And an opportunity to really treat everybody with extreme fairness and coming up with some ideals that will allow people to excel. It's going to make all the difference in the world. But it's going to require sometimes thinking out of the box. One of the things that I think is critical is that we stop criticizing everybody. You know, typically what happens is we change administrations, and the new administration just comes in and criticizes the other one forever. And then we fling to this side, and then we fling to this side, but we never seem to make forward progress. And what we have to recognize is that whatever was done before is a stepping stone to get us further in the right direction. And people of goodwill, with very good intentions, design these various programs and had various ideals. Whether they worked well or not is beside the point. We can learn from them, and we can use that knowledge to advance, to use evidence to make real decisions that will be helpful to people. You know, I remember during my medical career encountering a great deal of opposition because I did think out of the box. I did things that sometimes people considered a little far out. I remember one of the obstetricians came to me and he said, "Ben, I have this woman and she's pregnant with twins. And one of them has severe hydrocephalus. The head is growing so rapidly that it's threatening premature labor and both twins will be lost. Do you think you could do an operation on that twin while it's still in the mother's womb so we could save the normal baby?" And, you know, I was familiar with a neurosurgeon in Philadelphia who had done some innovative work with sheep, intrauterine operating on sheep. And I contacted him, and we put together something quickly, and we actually did the operation. And the baby's head shrunk down. We could see it right on the ultrasound. And several weeks went by, and the lungs matured so that they were able to live outside the womb, and they were delivered. And I remember there was a firestorm of criticism. We're not ready to do intrauterine surgery. This is unethical. That is, until it became clear that not only was the normal baby okay, but the hydrocephalic baby was okay too. And then they were all saying, well, I would have done that too under those circumstances. That's generally the way it works. But, you know, there's always resistance when you do something different, when you think out of the box. And that's what we're going to have to do to solve some of these immense problems we have, recognizing that here in America we have 330 million people. Sounds like a lot of people, but it's a quarter of the people that they have in China or India. And we're going to have to compete with them in the future, which means we have to develop all of our people. We can't afford to let any of them languish. We have a situation where up to 20% of people entering high school don't finish. We have a situation where we have 5% of the world's population and 25% of the prison inmates. We can't allow that to stand. We need to recognize that every individual is human capital to be developed. And it, if not developed, becomes part of the load. If developed, becomes part of the engine. And we're going to have to learn how to work across silos and create comprehensive plans that encompass education, that encompass job training, that encompass utilizing all of our resources and all of our department so that we use government as a springboard to push people to a higher level and not just in housing to put a roof over their head, but really to allow people to develop the tremendous potential that God has put in each one of us. You know, someone was counseling me today. He said, you know, as a government official, you really shouldn't talk about God. But I got to tell you something. It's part of who I am, and I'm never going to deny God for any reason. And godly principles of being nice to other people, of caring about your fellow man, of developing your talents to the point where you become valuable to those around you, of having values and principles that govern your life. When we do that and we begin to really manifest the appropriate type of caring, when we do things because they're right, not because they're politically expedient, I think we're going to make tremendous progress in our country, and we will truly have one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you so much for what you do for others.